Buckle up, my friends. We're going to be talking about my top 10 reads of 2025 and why you need to read them this winter. Let's get right into it. Hello, my bookworms. As you heard, today we're going through my top 10 books of 2025. I have read 74 books so far this year, and every time I had a book that just made me feel the feels and just felt like it, I put a little asterisk by it so I knew it was one of my top reads, and I just counted them up, and it turns out I have 10 of them. So let's go grab all the books and let's talk about my top 10 reads of 2025 and why you are going to be reading them this winter. Let's go. I just want you all to know that I sat here for a large amount of time trying to put these in the order from number 1 to number 10 so I could rank them for you. So you're welcome, because they were just going to be a hodgepodge order, but I figured you guys deserve them to be in actual order, right? So I'm not sure if these are actually fully in order, but this is the best guess as of right now. Let's get started with number 10. Number 10 on my favorite books of 2025 and the books you need to read this winter is Immortal Consequences by Ivy Marie. This book is a fantasy book. It's a young adult fantasy, but it does not read super young adult. It is set in an academic setting, but is actually an academy in purgatory. That's right. All our main characters are set in purgatory. They are stuck there. We follow 6 different viewpoints and 6 different main characters. All of these main characters are chosen to be part of the decennial. This is a event that takes place once every 10 years, and the winner of this event gets the ability to either continue on and cross over to the other side, or become one of the elite of Blackwood Academy, and basically you're like above everybody else. And this purgatory is a really, really fun storyline because you follow all these different viewpoints and they all have so many different things going on. They all have so many different personalities, and it's such a quick, fun moving book. And the fact that you are like in purgatory with them and they're reaping souls, they're in this competition to try and not have to be stuck here anymore, or perhaps to become an elite, and it's just so fun. And there's so many different things going on, and since only one of them can win, you're like, I love all these characters, what is going to happen? Because we're following 6 of them, and then there's other characters in this storyline too, and you're just like, so much is going on, so much. So if you need more of a wide read than that, I would say it's just such a fun, fast-paced storyline. If you like academic fantasy novels, this one is a great one because it's thick, but it moves fast. It's good world building, but it's not too dense. You get a lot of different things that happen. It is slightly predictable, but other than that, I'd say it's really fun, and there's going to be more to the series, so get this one read this winter so that you are prepped before the next one comes out. Book number 9 for my favorite reads of 2025 is actually a romance novel, and that is Till Summer Do Us Part by Megan Quinn. Now, Megan Quinn is one of my absolute favorite romance authors. Every time I read a book by her, I love it. Actually, every single book I read by her, I like more and more and more. So she's basically an automatic buy for me at this point. This one was such a fun, cute read. This one follows our female main character. She's working at a new job, and it's a sausage fest. Basically, she works with a bunch of Brads and Chads, and the issue is that they're all happily married, and Scotty, our main character, she's going through a divorce. Now, unfortunately, she gets herself in an issue when trying to fit in at work. She claims that she has a husband, and they're just going through some problems. So, of course, higher up, a woman that she wants to impress, her husband just happens to be a marriage counselor, just happens to be able to get away for a session. So she has to find someone to pretend to be her husband so that she can fit in at work and go to this session, and she ends up enlisting the help of her best friend's brother, who ends up getting them invited to a marriage camp. Yep. So now Scotty has to go to this marriage camp with this guy that she does not even know. She has to pretend that they're married but going through problems. She has to go through counseling. She has to go through all of these activities, all of this fun with all of these other people that she works with and their significant others, and it is so, so fun. I absolutely love this book. It is so much good banter. I feel like the characters are quirky and it's interesting, it's funny, it's lighthearted, and like, I'm sorry, going through a marriage camp with a guy that you don't even know, that's hilarious. Like, that's hilarious, especially because like romance starts to happen and it gets a lot of bit spicy, and it's just such a fun read, and I ate this one up. Now you're thinking, Kim, Till Summer Do Us Part, and this is a winter reading recommendation video. What do you want now? All I'm saying is that if it's the middle of winter and you're stuck in all the snow, stuck in all the cold, stuck in all the darkness, and you're like, I just need some light, this book could be that light, because it's funny, it's fun. Yeah, it takes place during summer, but it's not so summery that you're gonna be like, Those were books that fell. Mr. Rambo. It's not so summery that you're gonna be like, FOMO, I wish it was summer. Just summery enough to make you feel like, yeah, I can survive this winter and make it through. So, book number 9, Till Summer Do Us Part. It was absolutely amazing. It had me giggling out loud. Give it a read. Book number 8, I'm actually cheating a little bit because it is 2 books. But listen, hear me out, okay? They're part of the same duology. They are the Shepherd King duology, and I read them back to back, which to me makes me feel like they're one book because it was continuation of the storyline. They weren't interconnected standalones, they were continuation of the storyline. So to me, the storyline continued through both books, so they both deserve the slot for number 8. Plus, they both had asterisks next to them, so I feel like it was a no-brainer. So, book number 1 is One Dark Window, and book number 2 is Two Twisted Crowns. They're both by Rachel Gillig. This is a romantic fantasy novels duology, and oh my gosh, it is so fun. Okay, it is not necessarily so fun considering it is a dark fantasy romantasy, but it was such a ride. So what I love about these books is that you get good world building, but they're not too dense, and they're also pretty thin. So they're not so fat that you're intimidated to read them, or that there's just so much you have to slog through to get through them. They're thin, they're fast moving, but you get such a good storyline. Our female main character, she is in need of a monster, and that monster, it might be her. She lives in a kingdom where magic is basically outruled unless you have a Providence card. However, our female main character, she has a spirit called the Nightmare, at least that's what she calls him, trapped in her head. Yeah, that's right. So she has to keep this a secret because she's a little afraid that she's magical and it's not allowed. Now, she meets a mysterious highwayman on the road who ends up thrusting her into this whole adventure in this whole world. It turns out this mysterious highwayman is actually the captain of the Destriers and the king's nephew. But he's also guilty of high treason. So it is quite an adventure because him and our female main character Elspeth, they have until solstice to get all 12 Providence cards, which are the key to the cure. But the nightmare in her head, it's slowly taking over. So it's such a high stakes adventure, and I loved it because there's so much romance and there's so much going on, and there's so much with magic and these Providence cards. I thought it was so fun that there was a difference with like the Providence cards. It's a little bit different type of magic system. I thought it was really great, and there's definitely a good darkness in it, especially with what she has going on in her head and everything that everybody in this kingdom is dealing with. There's a lot going on in this kingdom, and like it is just so dramatic but so great, and it moves so fast, and it's dark but it's light at the same time, and there's romance. Book number 1 follows 2 points of views. Book number 2 follows 4 points of views, so you get a little bit of different settings, and they're really fun and they're really exciting. So why do you need to read them this winter? Honestly, I just think that they're a really good fantasy duology, and sometimes in the winter I find reading fantasy too heavy because a lot of them are so fat and dense with it being so dark and cold. I sometimes can't read something like that because it's just not the best for me. But these ones I feel like would be good winter fantasy romantasy reads because they're not too heavy, they are dark, but they're not too dense, and you can get through them really fast, and they're really exciting. So definitely give these a read. Book number 7 in my top reads of 2025, coming right up, is Problematic Summer Romance by Allie Hazelwood. Yes, it's another summer rom-com, and turns out I love me a summer rom-com. This one by Allie Hazelwood, again, I love this author. She is pretty much a guaranteed buy author for me, for the most part. I don't have all her books, I will say that. Well, I don't have all of anyone's books, but basically if I see a book by her, I will pick it up. And this one is just so sweet and so fun. It follows a female main character. She is in her 20s and she's still figuring out her life. And it follows our male main character. He is 38 and our female main character is obsessed with him. So it is an age gap romance, and I've never read like a huge age gap romance before. Didn't have anything against them, just never like thought to pick one up, and this one was really fun and really sweet. So what happens is that they get stuck together for the summer because her brother is getting married and he's her brother's best friend. So they end up stuck together at this villa in Sicily, and she's obsessed with him and he's trying not to be obsessed with her. And as you go through the story of their summer being in close proximity with each other, you keep flashing back to like how they know each other and why they're so close and why they're so attached to each other. And I feel like it is so sweet. It is so cute. And I just ate it up because I feel like for an age gap romance and for a romance where they don't necessarily know each other by being near each other that much, They built such a great romance and storyline, and I really thought it was darling. A little bit unrealistic, sure, but it's a book. I thought it was so darling and so fun and really, really cute. It had me giggling, it had me laughing out loud, and yeah, which is basically why you need to read it this winter, similar to the other one. In the midst of winter, sometimes you need a lighthearted summery read, and a trip to Sicily for a wedding with a bit of a messy romantic connection. That sounds so fun for the middle of the winter when you just want to disappear into like sunshine. This is the sunshine, my friends. This is the sunshine. Book number 6, we are back in the fantasy romantasy realm, and that is Quicksilver by Callie Hart. So I was a little bit late to the game on this one. I just recently read this one in October, and I get all the hype about it. I really do. I wasn't sure when I started it. I was not sure when I started. So if you're digging into it and you're not sure, continue. If you're a fantasy fan, continue because it is so, so, so good. Alright, so what is it about? It is about Sarah's Fane. She is our female main character. She's keeping secrets. She is a thief. She is a pickpocket. And there's not much she wouldn't do for a glass of water. Sooner or later, everything comes out. She comes face to face with death himself. She inadvertently reopens a gateway between realms and is transported to a land of ice and snow where the Fae rule. Now, she has landed herself right in the middle of a centuries-long conflict, and the king deems that she's going to help them basically win their side of it. She's the first of her kind to tread the frozen mountain of Yevlia in over 1,000 years. Sarah mistakenly binds herself to Kingfisher, a handsome Fae warrior who has secrets and nefarious agendas of his own, and he'll use her alchemist magic to protect his people no matter what the cost to him or her or anyone else. So it is alchemical magic, it is Fae, there are some other supernatural beings in this, and it is an adventure. It is quite a ride. It is spicy. There is romance and there is a lot going on. So, yeah, this is a big, big, dense fantasy book. So, you know how I was talking about how the Shepherd duology is not that dense? This one is that dense. So, if you're looking for a big, thick, fat fantasy book to just get lost in this winter, this is it. Especially because Brimstone #2 recently came out, so you get lost in this one, and then you can grab Brimstone right away, which is like over 600 pages, and you can continue to get lost in that fantasy world. I have not finished Brimstone, so I cannot tell you if it is top read, but this one was so good and it was so fun, and I became a little bit obsessed, which is why it became a top read and why I think it's a great book to read this winter because you can get lost in it with the long days and the cold nights, just snuggling up with a big fat book, big fat series. This is a great one to do it with. I feel like a lot of this world is set in like the snowy and the coldness, so you'll feel like you're right in it. Give it a read. We are halfway done. Next up, we are going back to romance, and it is with a young adult romance, which is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter, and this book is so, so, so sweet. I don't know if you are a young adult romance reader, but even if you're not, I feel like this one anybody could get behind if you like romance, at least, because it is so fun, it is so fluffy, it is so lighthearted, but there's good banter and there's good storyline. There's issues and complications, but they're not too much that you're like overwhelmed by them or that they take over the whole storyline, and it's so, so, so fun. So, our female main character, let me read you the back actually. I haven't read the back, but this one is so good that let me read you at least some of it, if Quinn will let me. Liz has always known that Wes was not boyfriend material. You would think that her next-door neighbor would be a prime candidate for her romantic comedy fantasies, but Wes has only proven himself to be a pain in the butt ever since they were little. Wes was the kid who put a frog in her Barbie dream house, the monster who had a lawn gnome's severed head in her little homemade neighborhood book exchange. Cute. The book exchange, not the severed head. Now it's 10 years later since they were little, and they're in their senior year, and Liz's crush since they were little finally moves back to town, Michael, and basically she wants her chance with him. She wants to have her prom moment with him, and in order for that to happen, she needs Wes's help. Yep, she needs to enlist help with Wes because he is friends with Michael. He is her in. So they scheme to get Liz her magical prom moment with Michael, but along the way, Liz starts to realize that maybe it's not Michael who she should be with. Maybe it actually is Wes, and it's so fun and it's so cute, and I absolutely love this book. I felt like I read it so fast and it was over, and I was like, oh my god, I loved it, but I did not get enough. So, I absolutely love this book. If you are looking for a fast, quick read, you need to read this winter because you can literally snuggle it down and probably read this in like an afternoon because it's just so cute and so darling. And sometimes you just need like a cozy, romantic fluffiness for the winter, and this is that book. And then if you finish that book and you're like, that was so cozy, That was so cozy. That was so fluffy. I absolutely love that. Liz, Wes, yes, yes, yes. I wish I had more. Well, you are like my friend because then you can pick up book number 4 in my countdown, which is Nothing Like the Movies by Lynn Painter, which is actually a continuation of Wes and Liz's story. We get a continuation of their story. So I love this one because that one follows Liz trying to get Michael, and then like Wes and her kind of start a romance, where this one is actually a romance between Wes and Liz. They are a little bit more grown up. They're in college now. A little bit of time has passed, and something has happened where, spoiler alert for Better Than the Movies, but it's barely a spoiler because we all know how it ends. But something has happened where they're no longer together, okay? That's the only spoiler. They end up together, they're no longer together in this one, okay? No more spoilers. I'm sorry. But they end up no longer together, but Wes decides that he needs Liz back. He has to get Liz back. He messed up and he needs her back. So the storyline is about him trying to get her back and about how she has grown and changed and she's no longer that dorky little high schooler that she used to be. She is becoming an adult. She's becoming her own woman. And it is such a fun read because you get to see their stories. You get to see how they feel about each other. You get to get both their points of view. So you get Liz's point of view, but you also get Wes's point of view. And I'm sorry, I just love Wes. I love Wes so much. And he just made these stories, and I'm obsessed. Which is exactly why you need to be reading this book this winter, preferably after this one. But honestly, you could read it as a standalone if you wanted to, because it's still a fun young adult romance, and it's so sweet, and it's so cute, and you get the banner, and you get the giggliness, and it's just, it's the best. It is the best. This is my favorite romance book of 2025, so top 3 not romance books, spoiler alert, but this is my favorite romance book of 2025, and I loved it. I thought it was so fun and so sweet, and I just was obsessed with it, and yeah, that's the truth of it. You should read it this winter because it's just really fun and really cozy and really sweet, and when you need to escape from the chaos of the winter and you want to pretend that everything is just okay, just cute and sweet and rainbows and puppies, this is your book. Read it this winter. Number 3 in my favorite books of the year was The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst. This book is a cozy fantasy novel. It is technically number 2 in the series. Number 1 was The Spell Shop. They are interconnected standalones, however, so you can read this one on your own if you wish to. It is such a fun, cozy, sweet novel. So our female main character, she was turned into a statue because of a previous transgression, and she was unsure how long she was going to be stuck as a statue, and then suddenly she wakes up and she's on this snow-covered island. She's all alone and there's a bunch of greenhouses around. Eventually she runs into the one other human there, Yarrow. He is in charge of the greenhouses and is trying to take care of them. He says that he'll take care of our female main character while she's there, but he's basically trying to push her off the island. However, she doesn't really have anywhere to go, so she sticks around and she helps him try to heal these magical greenhouses and try to fix the island, and it's such a cute and cozy story. This one is perfect for winter because it is set on a snowy island. Yeah. These greenhouses are an island that's covered in snow, so it is definitely very important that they keep these greenhouses from failing because otherwise the elements are going to get them. But it does make it such a cozy winter read because being set in this snowy island, it makes you feel like just so wintry. Like I feel like I'm sitting on my couch and there's snow outside my window and I'm all cozied up. Like reading this book would just be such a vibe because I feel like I was there in this island, and it's such a cozy fantasy. So like you get that good world building and you get those issues and those problems, but they're not so overwhelming that it becomes too much. So I absolutely loved this one, and it's really sweet and it's perfect for winter because cozy fantasy, perfect for winter, snowy setting, perfect for winter. This is the book, guys. This is the book. Actually, we have 2 more books that might be the book, so let's keep going. Number 2 of my top books of 2025 is Shield of Sparrows by Daphne Perry. This book is a romantic fantasy novel, and I ate it up. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. This is my favorite romantic fantasy, like high romantic fantasy novel of the year. I absolutely loved it. This is a world that has a bunch of monsters in it, and there's such these creative monsters that I ate it up. I ate it up. It says, long ago the gods unleashed monsters upon the 5 kingdoms to remind us that humans are insignificant, that we must pray to the gods for mercy throughout our fragile, fleeting lives. Come on, like that tells you all you need to know. But female main character is a princess, but basically it's a performance position. She doesn't actually have any power. She's just there to basically appease the people. But then one day an infamous monster hunter comes to the shores and ruins her life. She is forced to marry this monster hunter, this stranger, and set off across the continent on the most treacherous adventure yet to get to the worst kingdom in the realm. So like the most dangerous, the scariest. She has to venture across the continent to get to this kingdom because she was forced to marry this man. Yeah, it was an absolutely wonderful novel because that's the snippet you get, but it's so fun. It says being the sparrow isn't an honor, it's a trap. So she's a sparrow because she was forced to marry this man to try and create good tensions between these kingdoms. She's forced to go on this adventure. She's forced to deal with all these monsters. She's forced to deal with all these people she doesn't know. She ends up on quite an adventure and she ends up with so much going on. And I loved it. I loved it. It was so good and it was so entertaining and it was so creative with all these different monsters. But there's also these cozy moments and there's also romance and there was like found family and it was just amazing. I think it's such a good read. I think that if you're looking for a fantasy book to pick up this winter, this is such a good one because you can really get lost in this world. And I feel like in the wintertime, getting lost in the world is just so fun because there's not much else going on. So why not get lost in the fictional world? And this is such a good fictional world to get lost in. And book 2 comes out next year. So get this one a read this winter so you can be all caught up so when book 2 comes out, we can obsess over them together. And just like that, we are on to my top read of 2025, and that is The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. I know, you guys are so sick of hearing me talk about this book. I've been talking about this book all year long because it was literally the first book I read in 2025, and yet it is my favorite book of 2025. It is such a sweet, cozy fantasy, and it just gave me this warm and fuzzy feeling that I just needed when I read it. I needed it at that time, and it was such a good, cute romance and adventure, and it's so fun. So this is number 1 in the series from the Enchanted Greenhouse. This is number 1, The Spell Shop. It follows a female character. She is a librarian. There's a rebellion going on, and she's forced to flee the library. She grabs as many of the magical books as she can, as well as Kaz, a sentient spider plant, and she flees to the island where her parents were born, where she has a house, and she sets up camp there basically, and she tries to blend in. She starts a jam shop and she sells a little bit of magic, and it is so sweet. There's so much found family and there's so much adventure, but there's also a little bit of danger, and there's a lot of fantasy, a lot of different kinds of beings, and there's magic, and it's so fun and it's so cozy, and I think it's the perfect cozy read for any time of year, but particularly winter because, like I said, you're gonna want to cozy up with a blanket and you're just gonna get lost and pretend you're on this island, and it's just so sweet and so cozy and so wonderful. I definitely recommend you guys read it this winter because then you can read The Enchanted Greenhouse and then you can be all set for book number 2 that's coming out in 2026. I think, again, a cozy fantasy is perfect for winter because sometimes you just need that. You need a cozy fantasy. You need to get lost in a world that's not too heavy, not too dense, but it's really fun and really sweet, and this is it. If you want something that's sweet, that's going to make you feel warm-hearted and fulfilled and just like a warm hug and a smile, this is that book, and this is my favorite read of 2025. So I hope you give it a read this winter. And with that, those are my top 10 reads of 2025, at least at this point, as of December 17th, because, well, there's a chance I'll find another couple favorites before the year's over, but I'm not sure. So that's where we are at right now, my top 10 reads of 2025. I'd love to know what your top favorite reads of the year were. Did you have any on my list? What does your list include? Let me know down below because I'm always looking for book wraps. Thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you guys are having a fabulous December, and I can't wait to read another stack of amazing books this year to come. I'll see you guys next time. Live well, read lots of books, and go discover. Bye, friends. Bookmas Day 19. Check.